A dark, stormy night with dense clouds covering the sky, the wind violently shaking the trees. A lone car's headlights pierce through the gloomy, winding forest road. On either side of the road, tall, gnarled trees loom ominously. The scene has an eerie, foreboding atmosphere. A cozy car interior, illuminated by the soft glow of the dashboard lights. A young mother holds the steering wheel with one hand while talking on the phone, her face calm and focused. In the back seat, a joyful 2-year-old boy is flipping through a vibrant coloring book, holding it up excitedly. A car lying upside down at the base of a steep embankment, surrounded by dense forest. Broken glass and twisted metal scatter the scene. Smoke rises into the humid night air, blending with the glow of faint, flickering flames. Branches hang broken above the wreckage, and the atmosphere is tense and silent. A large, majestic wolf, with a thick gray and white coat, steps cautiously into the clearing, its glowing yellow eyes reflecting the moonlight breaking through storm clouds. The wolf stands near the car wreckage, its muscular frame exuding both power and mystery. The wolf gently cradles a small child in its jaws, holding onto the child's shirt without causing harm. The baby clutches a colorful book tightly, looking curious but unharmed. The wolf moves away from the wreckage into the dense forest, its silhouette framed against the dark, misty trees. A weak and injured mother lying in the wreckage, her face filled with shock and helplessness. Her eyes are locked on the wolf carrying her child away. The scene is blurred to represent her fading consciousness, with the flickering flames and the wolf's retreating figure as the focal point. A fire engine and rescue vehicles approach the crash site, their sirens wailing. Rescuers in reflective gear rush toward the burning car, their flashlights cutting through the rain-soaked darkness. Smoke and flames rise against the backdrop of storm clouds. A determined rescue officer driving a fire engine gripping the steering wheel tightly. The narrow road ahead is illuminated by his vehicle's headlights as smoke and flames loom in the distance. The officer's face shows resolve and urgency. Stand back and relax. It is like turning the rod copper into gold. A rescue officer kneeling beside an overturned car in the middle of a dark forest. The ground is frosty, and the air is filled with white puffs of his breath. Smoke rises from the wreckage, and faint flames flicker in the background. Adam's face is tense but focused as he checks on an unconscious woman lying nearby, blood trickling from a wound on her temple. A pale, injured woman with matted hair and a cut on her forehead lies on the cold ground. Her eyes are barely open, her expression weak but desperate, as she whispers, "Where's Anna?" Adam leans close, his face filled with concern, as paramedics rush to place her on a stretcher in the background. Narrow, frost-covered drag marks lead away from the wreckage and into a dark, dense forest. The tall pines create jagged, trembling shadows under the faint light of a rescue officer's flashlight. The ground is uneven, with twisted roots clawing at Adam's boots as he cautiously follows the trail deeper into the unknown. A lone rescue officer walking cautiously through an eerie forest, the beam of his flashlight illuminating fresh wolf tracks in the snow. The air is misty, and his breath is visible in the cold night. Tall trees surround him, their branches swaying in the chilling wind, while distant wolf howls echo through the silence. Adam stops abruptly in the dense forest, his flashlight catching a pair of glowing, wolf-like eyes peering at him from the darkness. His hand instinctively reaches for a knife at his belt, his expression a mixture of fear and determination. The surrounding trees loom large, their twisted shadows intensifying the suspense. A hauntingly beautiful scene of a wolf pack howling beneath the rising moon, their silhouettes standing on a snowy ridge. The chilling howls echo through the frosty air, sending shivers through the forest. The scene is both majestic and eerie, with the faint outline of Adam in the distance, approaching cautiously. Adam, standing in a clearing, his radio in one hand and his flashlight in the other, his face lit by the faint glow of moonlight filtering through the trees. The forest seems alive, the shadows shifting ominously as the sound of growls and rustling leaves surrounds him. His expression is a mix of determination and rising dread, a detailed view of large wolf tracks embedded in fresh snow, The prints are deep and clear, indicating the size and weight of the animal. Broken twigs and disturbed frost surround the tracks, leading into a darker part of the forest, adding an air of mystery. A majestic wolf with thick silvery fur curled protectively around a small, swaddled baby in the snow. The wolf's amber eyes glow softly in the pale moonlight, its body radiating warmth against the biting frost. The baby's tiny fists flail momentarily before settling into a restless sleep. Surrounding them, the forest is still, with dry leaves rustling faintly and an owl shadow gliding silently overhead. A lone figure trudging through a blinding snowstorm, his flashlight casting long, jagged shadows on the icy ground. Adam's heavy coat and hood are dusted with snowflakes as he presses forward, his expression tense and determined. The forest looms dark and ominous around him, the wind howling like a beast, a small, defiant fire blazing in a clearing surrounded by dense evergreens. Adam sits with his back to a tree, his face illuminated by the flickering flames. His gear lies scattered around him, and his expression is heavy with worry. The dark forest encircles him, and the distant howl of wolves mixes with the sound of the roaring storm. A detailed close-up of fresh wolf tracks in the pristine snow, their sharp edges suggesting a large, heavy animal. The tracks overlap chaotically, leading toward a dense thicket. Broken branches and disturbed snow hint at recent activity, while the faint glow of Adam's flashlight sweeps across the ground. The sky above the forest is dark and ominous, thick clouds obscuring the stars as the first snowflakes swirl wildly in the wind. The towering pines sway and creak, their tops disappearing into the storm. In the foreground, Adam stands still, his breath visible in the icy air, gazing into the encroaching tempest with steely resolve. The wolf stands on a rocky outcrop beneath the rising moon, its fur ruffled by the wind. Its keen amber eyes scan the forest below, alert for danger. In the distance, faint outlines of other wolves can be seen amidst the shadows, their howls blending into the wind. Snowflakes fall gently, highlighting the wolf's powerful silhouette. Adam pauses at a massive oak tree, its bark scarred with deep, jagged scratches. He kneels to examine the markings, his flashlight casting dramatic shadows. His expression is cautious yet curious, his hand instinctively resting on the hilt of his utility knife. The air around him is tense, heavy with the scent of nearby predators. Adam carefully navigates a steep, rocky slope, his flashlight illuminating loose stones and gnarled roots. The terrain is treacherous, with snow-covered rocks and jagged edges. His face shows both determination and exhaustion as he grips his gear tightly. The dense forest behind him, a reminder of his isolation. A dramatic scene of the wolf shielding the baby from the elements as snow swirls fiercely around them. The wolf's fur is dusted with frost, and it gently presses closer to the infant to provide warmth. In the background, the forest appears ghostly under the moonlight, its trees bending under the storm's force. A wide-angled view of Adam sprinting through the forest, his flashlight beam cutting through the snowy darkness. His gear bounces with his movements, and his boots leave faint tracks that are quickly erased by the blowing snow. Above him, the sky is split between the rising dawn and the remnants of the storm. A small wolf with matted fur, entangled with twigs, cautiously steps into a clearing under the moonlight. Behind it, a larger wolf with sharp eyes and a commanding presence emerges from the shadows. The atmosphere crackles with tension as Adam stands, gripping his flare pistol. His face is tense but resolute, his breath visible in the cold air. The underbrush is dense, and the faint scent of the forest wafts in the breeze. Adam peers into the forest, his expression a mix of fear and anticipation. His flashlight beams into the underbrush, highlighting the faint outline of a child's tiny hand reaching from the shadows. The surrounding trees seem to close in, their gnarled branches casting ominous shapes on the snowy ground. A large wolf, partially lit by the first rays of dawn, stands tall and dominant in the clearing. Its ears are perked, and its posture transitions from aggression to curiosity as it surveys Adam. The morning light bathes its gray-white fur, making its eyes gleam like molten gold. Behind it, The smaller wolf looks nervously between Adam and the forest, creating a scene of raw tension and primal instinct. An ancient, weather-worn cabin stands in a secluded clearing, its broken walls and sagging roof covered in frost. The moonlight creates haunting shadows on the structure, and Adam stands at the edge of the clearing, hesitating. His silhouette is tense, and his hand hovers near his gear as he approaches the cabin's open doorway, where darkness and mystery await. Inside the cabin, a wolf lies protectively beside a motionless infant, its gray-white fur shimmering in the dim light. The wolf's amber eyes watch Adam intently, torn between aggression and trust. The air is thick with tension as the creature sniffs the child tenderly, almost as if weighing its decision to surrender the infant. In the dark, confined space of the cabin, Adam kneels over the lifeless infant, his face lined with desperation and determination. His hands press rhythmically on the child's tiny chest, and his breath forms faint clouds in the freezing air. Behind him, the wolf paces nervously, its low whine vibrating through the room, creating an atmosphere of urgency and hope. The moment of triumph, the infant gasps, breaking the oppressive silence of the cabin. Adam sits back on his heels, relief flooding his face, his breath ragged. The baby, cradled against his chest, breathes shallowly, its tiny chest rising and falling. In the background, the wolf watches from the shadows, its molten gold eyes filled with something almost akin to understanding. A close-up of the cabin's interior, its rough wooden walls frosted over and bathed in moonlight. In one corner, a wolf sits with its head low, watching as Adam cradles the baby. The scene is tense, yet tender, the warmth of life juxtaposed against the chilling, ghostly stillness of the forest outside. Adam kneels in the cabin, holding the baby tightly to his chest. The wolf stands a few feet away, its head bowed slightly, its posture calm but alert. Their eyes meet. Adam's filled with gratitude, and the wolf's glowing softly with a sense of recognition. The room is silent, except for the faint whisper of the wind outside. Adam stands outside the cabin at dawn, cradling the now breathing infant. The first light of day cuts through the trees, painting the snowy landscape in hues of orange and gold. Behind him, the wolf lingers at the doorway, its figure partially obscured by shadows. Adam's expression is one of triumph, tempered by exhaustion, a man who has defied the odds against the relentless force of nature. A sleek silver wolf stands in the open doorway of a rustic cabin, its muscles taut beneath its shimmering coat, ears perked sharply toward the distant forest. Moonlight filters through the trees, casting elongated shadows inside the cabin. Adam crouches behind the wolf, clutching a wide-eyed infant tightly to his chest. The air is heavy with suspense, and the wolf is poised, ready to dart into the darkness, responding to an unseen call. Adam stands at the edge of the cabin's doorway, his face pale with fear as he cradles the infant. In the clearing, a massive gray-brown wolf emerges from the brush, its eyes blazing with fury. The wolf's ivory teeth glint in the faint light as it growls, the sound reverberating through the silent forest. Behind Adam, the cabin looms dark and foreboding, a fragile sanctuary in the face of primal danger. Two wolves. A silver-coated guardian and a massive gray-brown predator circle each other in a snowy clearing under the pale moonlight. Their growls harmonize into a haunting, primordial chorus. Clumps of fur and streaks of blood mar the frozen ground as the two creatures engage in a fierce, fluid battle. Adam watches from the shadows of the cabin, his eyes wide with helplessness, as he shields the infant. The silver wolf stands victorious, its fur matted with streaks of blood and his chest heaving. The defeated gray-brown wolf limps away, leaving a trail of crimson in the snow. Adam, kneeling in the cabin doorway, holds the infant closer, his face a mixture of awe and gratitude. The silver wolf glances back, its golden eyes meeting Adam's in a moment of silent acknowledgement. Adam trudges through the dense forest, the infant bundled in his arms, as the silver wolf leads the way. The wolf moves with quiet confidence, its glowing golden eyes scanning the surroundings. The forest is bathed in the soft hues of dawn, with golden light filtering through the trees and illumining the frost-covered ground. Adam's face reflects exhaustion, determination, and trust in his unlikely guide. In a serene forest clearing, Adam kneels, activating a small locator beacon on his backpack. The LED blinks brightly, cutting through the early morning mist. The silver wolf stands at the edge of the clearing, its fur glowing faintly in the dawn light. It pauses, looking back at Adam with an almost ethereal grace, before disappearing into the trees, leaving Adam alone with his hard-won survival. A group of search and rescue personnel stands at the edge of the dense forest, under the soft light of early morning. Their radios crackle with static, and their faces are taut with anxiety. The thick trees cast long shadows, and a faint breeze stirs the leaves. One rescuer suddenly hears Adam's voice through the radio, and their tense expressions break into relief and elation. A dimly lit hospital room, sterile and quiet, with soft humming machines surrounding a bed. Sophia, pale and fragile, opens her eyes to the glare of fluorescent lights overhead. Her body lies still, wrapped in a crisp white blanket, and her gaze is distant, swimming between grogginess and awareness. The room is suffused with a sense of both hope and fragility, a testament to survival against the odds. A hospital room, bathed in soft morning light, a mother cradles her infant son tightly against her chest, tears streaming down her face. The baby's tiny fingers clutch her hospital gown as she whispers softly, her expression a mix of relief and overwhelming love. In the background, Adam stands by the door, his broad shoulders slumped in silent exhaustion and relief, watching the reunion with a bittersweet smile. Outside the hospital room, Adam stands beside an elderly couple. The grandmother, her silver hair glowing in the light, covers her mouth with trembling fingers, her eyes wide with awe and gratitude. The grandfather, stoic but emotional, places a firm hand on Adam's shoulder, silently thanking him. Through the glass, the mother cradles her child, a picture of fierce maternal love and resilience. Adam leans against the wall of the hospital corridor, lost in thought. His face is shadowed, reflecting the weight of his memories. The faint image of the wolf's golden eyes lingers in his mind, almost ghost-like, a reminder of the guardian who ensured their survival. The corridor is dim, illuminated by a warm, golden glow from a nearby window. A narrow, winding forest path leads to a secluded cabin surrounded by towering trees. The rising sun filters through the dense foliage, casting dappled light on the weathered wood of the cabin. Adam steps out of the car, holding the laughing infant in his arms. Beside him, Sophia looks at the cabin with tears in her eyes, her fingers brushing the broken wooden frame of the door. In the dense forest clearing, the silver wolf emerges from the shadows, its golden eyes gleaming in the sunlight. It stands cautiously, watching the family with a quiet, almost ethereal presence. Adam, holding the child, gazes back at the wolf, his muscles tense, but his expression one of awe and understanding. Behind him, Sophia's hand hovers near her mouth, overwhelmed by the sight. A flashback scene of Adam finding the infant curled up next to the massive silver wolf. The wolf lies protectively beside the child, its eyes glowing with a mix of vigilance and serenity. The forest around them is quiet, the atmosphere heavy with tension and reverence. Adam's face reflects a mix of fear and awe as he carefully approaches. Adam and Sophia drive along a sun-dappled forest road, the trees forming a green canopy overhead. In the back seat, the infant sits in a car seat, gurgling and batting his tiny fists in excitement. Sophia holds a faded map in her hands, her eyes filled with a mix of hope and wonder as they approach the clearing where the cabin awaits. In front of the cabin, the wolf stands at a distance, its golden eyes meeting Adam's in a moment of understanding. The child, cradled in Adam's arms, laughs joyfully, breaking the tension. The wolf's posture is cautious but calm, its fur glistening in the sunlight filtering through the trees. Sophia stands nearby, her hand resting on the cabin's frame, her gaze fixed on the wolf, with tears glimmering in her eyes. A serene forest clearing, with soft sunlight streaming through the leaves. At the edge of the clearing stands a majestic wolf, its silver-flecked coat shimmering in the light. Its golden eyes are fixed on a small family, Adam, holding the infant Sam, and Sophia, clutching Adam's arm. The atmosphere is charged with unspoken understanding as if the wolf is silently acknowledging its connection to them. Adam cradles Sam in his arms, the child's tiny hands reaching out toward the wolf in innocent curiosity. The wolf's ears flick at the sound, its expression calm and inscrutable. Sophia stands beside Adam, her gaze fixed on the wolf, her face a mix of awe and gratitude. The clearing is peaceful, with a light breeze rustling the leaves. As the wolf turns to disappear into the dense woodland, Sophia steps forward slightly, her eyes brimming with tears. One tear trails down her cheek, reflecting the sunlight. Adam places a reassuring hand on her shoulder, his face softened with a gentle smile. Behind them, the trees create a natural cathedral, and the rustling leaves seem to echo the moment's finality. The wolf is shown mid-stride, padding silently back into the forest. Its silver-flecked coat blends seamlessly with the dappled shadows of the trees. It glances back one last time, its golden eyes filled with an enigmatic expression, before vanishing into the greenery. The clearing is left empty, save for the lingering feeling of its presence. In a cozy rescue station, a group of villagers sits around a fire, listening to a storyteller recount the tale of the wolf that saved an infant. The storyteller's hands gesture animatedly, while the audience, a mix of children and elders, leans in with rapt attention. Behind them, a mural or sketch of a wolf with golden eyes adorns the wall, symbolizing the story's lasting impact. A symbolic depiction of the connection between humans and nature. A luminous bridge formed of light and leaves, with Adam, Sophia, and Sam standing on one side, and the silver wolf on the other. The wolf's eyes shine with a knowing glow, while Sam reaches out toward it, embodying the harmony and empathy shared in the moment. An atmospheric image of the forest clearing at dusk, the fading sunlight casting golden hues over the scene. In the foreground, a lone wolf's paw print is imprinted in the soft earth, symbolizing its lasting impact. Above, the words, "Kindness can flourish in even the most untamed places," are subtly etched into the sky, blending into the clouds.